Hey everyone, what's going on? This is Ash and Rima from Mass Effect Odyssey. Today's video is a news video. It is a bit of a different one because Rima is here with me this time. We do have a couple of bits of info we wanted to go through quickly. The first being the announcement of EA Plays from EA and the fact that they probably won't be at E3 this year now, and also we want to just take a very brief look into whether there is a chance that Mass Effect Andromeda could now be pushed back to 2017 based on financial reports and things like that. So firstly, we're going to look at very briefly the announcement of EA Plays, which is to take place the weekend before E3, so 1 week before. This is a pretty big step in terms of, well, it would be for any games company really, stepping away from E3, but
I think it's really smart. I honestly think it's really smart because we were talking about how we always sit down and we watch E3. I may not watch it for the full. You tend to watch most of it.
Yeah.
But we tend to watch it. The ones we watched normally last year were we did watch EA. We watched Microsoft. Did we watch Sony as well?
I watched Sony. I don't think you.
I don't think I watched it because it was later, wasn't it?
It was later on at night. Yeah, it's like 2 a.m. for us.
And then there was obviously the Ubisoft one, which I never pick up because I'm never really interested in. Oh no, we did watch Ubisoft because The Division got shown.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we watched it, because we heard about The Division coming out.
Yep.
And they showed The Division and Wildlands and stuff like that. So, but it's really smart because everyone kind of like wants to watch specific things in E3. Like there are people who obviously go through the whole thing, and you're one of these people that does that. But it's interesting though because now EA have basically said that there's going to be an event for basically just EA games. They're basically going to coincide at exactly the same time as E3. So it's gonna overshadow a lot of things that E3 is probably going to plan if you think about it.
Yeah.
And EA have got a lot of stuff coming out this year. Titanfall, Mass Effect. There's Mirror's Edge, but obviously Mirror's Edge will come out before then anyway. Then there's also supposedly another DICE game, possibly some Star Wars titles coming out, things like that. So they've got a lot of stuff planned. And it would be interesting to see like how much attention that takes away from E3. And plus, it's nice. I don't have to wait for the EA conference this year. So this year, there'll be a proper like dedicated section. There will actually be a proper BioWare section.
Yeah.
And what I'm looking forward to out of EA Plays, I never use the word hella, but I'm hella looking forward to Mass Effect Andromeda's release. And I'm also looking forward to all the information that comes out from EA Plays. But what I want to know is that secret IP that like the devs have been tweeting about for BioWare. I want to know what that is.
Yeah.
So badly. So they'll probably talk about that as well. So BioWare's entire like show at the EA Plays is going to be longer, it's going to be better, and it's better for us fans who basically just want to know about BioWare games.
Yeah.
We win in this situation.
Yeah,
so.
I think the point I was going to make was the fact that because they're having an EA-centric conference of their own, they're going to be able to like focus on certain developers. Like DICE will probably have their own like mini conference, and BioWare will probably get their own. So there'll be much more of a focus on the bigger games like Mass Effect Andromeda and Mirror's Edge Catalyst will be coming out just before this EA Plays. So yeah, it seems a smart move on EA's part in general to have their own conference, as it were, and the building they're holding it in is literally across the road from where E3 is.
Yeah.
So yes, it's like right next door.
There are going to be some journalists running between back and forth.
Yeah, they're going to be going there for the EA Play conference and then stay there for a week and then go to the E3 as well. So everyone gets an extra week in LA. So it's an interesting move on EA's part, and the thing I think obviously we're very much looking forward to it because it means we'd have to sit through the entirety of E3 basically. But the interesting thing that we noticed was that every single BioWare developer that is currently working on Mass Effect are all tweeting saying they're really excited for EA Plays and all this and this new kind of experience for people who want to go to conventions and see the games being made and all that kind of thing. So it does seem that EA Play is the place to be if you want Mass Effect Andromeda news.
I'm just hoping that they've got a good streaming service for when they actually do it. The ones for E3 can be a bit terrible. And we normally have like simultaneous streams going on, and then we're all like, this one's working, this one's not working, this one's working. So I'm hoping that EA Plays will have a good one. Mind you, EA's own streaming service for their own streaming service for E3 was really good last year. So fingers crossed we're going to actually get to see the conferences for BioWare and for DICE in good quality, and nothing's going to get cut.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
So that's pretty much it for EA Plays, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So moving on to the financial part of things, where we were talking about this financial report that's come out, basically saying that everyone seems to think that Mass Effect Andromeda may well be pushed to the beginning of 2017. Of course, we've seen nothing at all from BioWare indicating that in the slightest. As far as we're aware, and as far as they're aware, everything's still on course for the end of this year.
So they obviously run their quarters run, I think. I'm going by like what they did from last year onwards. Basically, that's what we kind of have to go by. So for example, their quarter 3 normally hits around, I think, it's normally the end of the year. So basically quarter 3 for them is November, or I should say October, November, December. That's their normal quarter 3, that period of the holiday season. So like this year's 2015, 2016's quarter 3 part of the year was when Battlefront came out. Battlefront was their big quarter 3 release for the holiday season, okay?
Yeah.
So the quote I think people are worried about is the fact that they said that EA has announced that the release window for Mass Effect Andromeda, and as well as the sequel to Titanfall, is supposedly going to be quarter 3, quarter 4, okay? And that it will be releasing before March 31st, 2017. And it is an investor call. It wasn't even like a shareholders meeting or anything. It was just like a call, a late night investor call that this kind of got like announced and then somehow managed to get into the press. But the CEO, I don't even know, CEO of EA was talking about it, and he basically said in his quote is, he says, we've not really announced when Titanfall and Mass Effect Andromeda will come out, but you should assume that it's in the back half of the year as well, because our second quarter is normally dominated by sports titles. So what he's basically saying is summertime is just going to be full of EA sports games, which is probably going to coincide when EA Play comes out, and same with E3 last year when they had their like EA conference. The entire basic conference was basically about all their sports games, from UFC to NHL to blah 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 blah, and Madden, and they always come out in the summertime, and that's quarter 2 for them. And he's basically saying this. Sorry. Yeah,
I was going to say, I think the latest I've ever seen an EA Sports title come out was FIFA, and they normally release anywhere between sort of beginning of July and the end of September.
Yeah. So basically that's what he's saying. He's saying that you should assume that the back half of the year is when the game's going to come out, because second quarter is so dominated by our sports title, and that is his literal quote. So summertime is definitely no-go for any of these big AAA titles, because that's when the sports games come out. It's probably when the kids are off school, so they can play their sports games. But he's still saying that it'll come out in the back half of the year. Now, that's not saying when in the back half of the year is, because their back half of the year will be... the end of their year is March. Basically, end of March is their end of the year. So basically, it could come out any point from like August to March. So they haven't really stated if Mass Effect's going to be delayed or not. There's no panic for it. I don't think people should be panicked that it's coming out in 2017. If it decides that they're going to announce that it's delayed, you'll hear it from BioWare probably first.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to BioWare themselves to announce whether they're going to delay it until 2017 or whether it's still on track for 2016. And all the indications we've seen thus far is the fact that it's still well on track for the end of this year.
Yeah.
So
I think they like releasing the game. Like, they like... Their games normally kind of come out at that point of the year anyway. So if they're going to be pushing it back, I don't think you would see a spring release. No. I think if they push it back to 2017, there's going to be some significant lag in the development for them to kind of push it. And we will hear it most likely before EA Plays or after. They won't announce the change in the middle of EA Plays, because they'll probably give you a date, I think.
Yeah.
At EA Plays, there will be a release date, I think. That's normally... And they may go by the routes of like Ubisoft and delay the game closer to the release of the titles and stuff like that. But BioWare don't tend to do that, unless... I think Dragon Age was the closest thing they've done where they've delayed a game. But again, they give you plenty of warning. They were like, we're delaying this game. We need to delay the game. And then it came out fine. So...
yeah.
BioWare will delay it. If they want to delay it, they'll announce it in their BioWare style, and they'll have a good reason for it. But as of yet, there's nothing to say it's delayed. And quarter 3 and 4 is when it's meant to come out. Quarter 3 and 4 is still in the period that it's still theorized to come out. So,
which has been said all along.
Has been said along. This is just all financial speak. I think EA is like most American companies, they run from April to April, as that's normally their financial year. So no panics.
Yeah. Quite simply, until you hear from BioWare, don't worry.
Yeah. It's more likely that Titanfall will come out in the start of the new year.
Yeah.
Because there's no big title coming out for EA at that point of the year, unless they announce something this year at EA Plays that they're going to release at that point of the year. But it's more likely that Titanfall will come out after Christmas, and then they'll have maybe Mass Effect, or you never know, Mass Effect and Titanfall might release really close together just before Christmas, and then that's their big push for the sales for Christmas time. So we don't really know.
Yeah.
But at this point, we've heard less about Titanfall than we have about Mass Effect. I'd be more worried about Titanfall being delayed into 2017 than Mass Effect. So
yeah.
Until we hear more.
Yes.
That's it.
Thank you very much for listening and for watching. As always, you can subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all things Mass Effect, and you can help the channel to grow by sharing the video too. Of course, thank you very much for listening and for watching. We'll see you again very, very soon.